Thanks for joining this afternoon's Cuppa Club with Katrina Coburn, founder and CEO of Energise South Downs, and Peter Carver, director who has a focus on finance. My name is Jerome Heusinger. I'm a development manager at FX, where Energise South Downs have just launched a community share offer. I work with two other colleagues, Paul Linares and Ben Sharp in our investment team, and ahead of this launch, we conducted due diligence on this share offer. Before we get started, there's a bit of housekeeping to do. I'd like to let you know that the Cuppa Club is recorded and made available to watch. And we also edit this to a highlighted version. I should say that this is not a financial promotion. And if you do need advice, please talk to an independent financial advisor. We hope that this session runs for about 45 minutes, and it's an opportunity for you all to meet and ask questions of Katrina and Peter and hear about Energise South Downs, its near-term goals and its future ambitions and project pipeline. Please feel free to ask questions in the chat box, and we will take questions as we go along. Just before Kat and Peter introduce themselves, a little bit about the share offer and what it's supporting. The Energise South Downs share offer is currently open for investment on FX with a target raise of £302,000 with a forecast return of 5.5%. Investments will fund the completion of 3 projects, which will generate about 270 kilowatt hours of clean energy each year. So let's get started and learn more about this from Katrina and Peter. Right, over to you.
Great. Thank you, Jerome, and thank you for having us here on Cuppa Club. Yeah, so I'm Katrina, and we are Energise South Downs. We're a community benefit society based in Petersfield in Hampshire, and we've been working with communities across the South Downs and surrounding areas, and really been reaching out to communities to talk about the potential for renewable energy development and that can benefit local communities directly. I'll pass to Peter to introduce.
Hello, good afternoon, everyone. So Peter Carver, I'm Finance Director of Energise South Downs. I started working with Katrina 3 years ago when she established Energise South Downs. And very interesting to see the build up now to this, very exciting point of the share offer. My background is I'm a chartered accountant. So I worked many years in the city, and then in the public sector, in the Environment Agency in DEFRA. And I retired a couple of years ago, and I'm now spending a lot of my time supporting Katrina and the team as we take our hopefully these first 3 projects forward.
Thanks. To both of you, really, in the offer doc and in the business plan, which is also on the FX website, you refer to the unique characteristics of your region, the South Downs region. Could you go into a few more details there?
Yeah, I mean, I felt that I called us Energise South Downs because we are right in the middle of the South Downs National Park, and that brings some challenges around developing renewables. There's many local communities that are still on oil, are very keen to move away from oil and fossil fuels, but are finding it difficult because of issues around planning sometimes, and challenges around grid connection. So it's been really important to really engage with those communities, find out their needs, talk about renewables, and then work very closely with local authorities like the South Downs National Park, and almost go out, engage with communities, and then be a voice for those communities about progressing projects.
Okay. I think your organization's been around since 22. You became full-time, Katrina, in 24. How do you work and how do you organize yourselves as a team? And mention the reliance on volunteers, which is a very admirable feature of your organization.
Yeah. Well, as we started developing, it was clear that we needed some volunteers, some skills and expertise. So we're very fortunate to have a board of volunteer directors. There's 8 volunteers directors who do feel that those kind of skills gaps and expertise. So some of them have day jobs in renewables or in the environmental sector, but it brings in some really good governance. So we've got someone that supports a legal team. We've got 2 finance directors. We've got a comms manager, a business development director, and a project development director who is also in renewables. So that brings a really nice board of expertise. But then we have also been successful in applying for National Lottery funding through the Community Energy Pathways Programme. So we have 4 employees, which is the equivalent of 2 whole-time equivalent employees. And again, really thinking about the needs of a community benefit society. So we've got a project manager, a comms manager, and a program manager. So bringing together a small team, but having that governance of the board and expertise to bring to that team as well. We have 4 working groups. I, as the CEO, report back to the board, and we have 4 working groups that specialise in the expertise and report back to the board as well. So we feel like we've got a really good team process.
Yeah, no, that's good. And you've adopted a CBS corporate structure.
Yes.
Why do that, and what do you like about it?
The thing about a community benefit society, it's almost what it says it is. It's a corporate structure. So we're registered by Financial Conduct Authority under the Cooperative and Community Benefit Societies Act. But the thing about community benefit societies is the business must be run primarily for the benefit and the interests of the community at large. So the rules don't allow for the distribution of profits to the members, but actually for the community at large. So it's always focused on bringing that benefit back to the larger community. And I think it's a really good corporation, a setup which brings it back to the community every time.
Okay. Could you say a little bit about the environmental impact of this phase of growth? I'd say a little bit about these 3 projects, the overall environmental impacts and the potential benefits medium longer term for the local community.
Yeah, these 3 projects have really come out of, really reaching out to communities to understand the local energy needs. When we've been doing lots of workshops in communities, so we've been helping communities think about where renewable projects might be in their communities. How can we use the local rooftop? Where might a wind turbine go? What do communities think about wind turbines? So that's been a really nice. I think the community engagement bit has been quite impactful. And then these 3 projects have actually engaged 5 organisations, 3 local businesses who are keen to decarbonise, 1 local authority who want to decarbonise their assets. So we feel that this is just the first of many projects. I'm meeting them on Friday to discuss further decarbonisation of their assets. Further, have you got other rooftops that we can use? So these 3 projects, I feel, are just the first to get us across the line for future project pipeline. But doing that, they're not, the combination of the 3, they're not small projects. They're 283 kilowatt capacity for rooftops. So 270,000 kilowatt hours of clean energy, saving 54 tons of carbon per year annually. So they're good, really good first projects and a stepping stone for future projects.
Okay, so the questions are going to come in. I'm going to cover all the questions, but the one that is appropriate now is one from Anne. You say brings it back to the community, but how and what will this involve? And I was wondering, specifically in your offer document, you quantify a a material, a money amount that goes into community benefits. Could you talk about that number, those projections, and how that will be directed?
Yeah, so because the rules don't allow for the distribution of any profits, any surplus profits will go into a community benefit fund. So for these three projects, we'll be building up a community benefits pot over the term. We're forecasting £185,000 in that community benefit pot. Now we know there's lots of other local community groups that are passionate about doing environmental projects in the area. So they'll be able to apply for that fund and do those very local projects, whether it's around fuel poverty, it might be more solar for a local community hall. So as the project progresses, we'll be building up that pot of funding. So it will bring back funding to that local community.
Great. Just a couple of financial questions I'd like to tackle at this stage. Is there an if ISA investment option, Henry? No. That is exclusively for community bonds. This is a community share issue, which does not attract that tax benefit. And then Graham Keep, it's a long-term investment. Is there any uplift to the interest payment over the medium to long term to offset the effect of inflation? Not as such. Obviously, the rate of interest is 5.5%, and the expectation is that payment is initiated on an annual basis from the autumn of 2027. So yeah, in terms of the investment attraction, its impact first and foremost, and Katrina has explained that. There is, preservation of capital, and the due diligence that we have conducted around this offer hopefully reinforces the confidence in that. And there is a reasonable rate of return above that of bank accounts or a 10-year gilt of 5.5%. Sorry, and then I'm just seeing one more question. I work as a consultancy working with companies to get their business to net zero. I have some clients in your area. Are you open to discussing future projects for rooftop solar? Which blends into my next question. But why don't you have a go at that, Katrina?
Yeah, we'd absolutely like to work with any businesses that are keen to decarbonise. Yes, please do get in touch. Yeah, we feel that this is just the first of our projects, and we're really happy to take on more.
Okay. Before we
Sorry, can I add something there? Just
yeah, sure. Sorry, Peter. Yeah.
I mean, so in terms of yes, we are certainly looking at the next range of opportunities. I think we will be focused on those that fit the community benefit approach, community energy approach. We do talk to a lot of people with relatively small roofs. There is a kind of minimum size that we work with. But certainly commercial buildings of a reasonable roof size are of interest to us, so we can put together a project. But as Katrina said, in the first instance, come and talk to us. We can outline, if you like, the scale and type of opportunity that would fit with our model.
Thank you. Could we, before we move on, could we just focus on the three projects that you have in your immediate pipeline? Could you talk about timeline, operational and financial risks in those projects? And to what extent, as a board, have you stress tested the projects?
Yeah. With the expertise on the board, ESD has established a sort of formal risk management process, and so that risk governance group, they meet monthly, they assess and they rate, the monitor, and they monitor the project and organisational risks, and through that process, we've got the what we feel is there was a consensus on the highest rated risks that went into the share offer document. So we feel that there's a good process behind that. The timeline, we have been very grateful for the initial investment, and we've been really pleased with how the investment and the share raise has gone. So we hope to start the projects in September. We are using 3 local installers. The projects all have grid connection and planning, so they are good to go. Obviously, there was a risk that we weren't going to raise the funds, so once we got to the minimum raise, we were thinking, we could potentially start the first project. We've reached our minimum raise of 155,000, so that project is as good to go. I suppose there's always risks to every investment, but we feel that we've had a lot of due diligence done on our financial modelling. We outsourced some of that. We got support around our financial modelling. Although we've got 2 financial directors, they were quite new to community energy, so it was good to get that support. We also had due diligence through being standard mark assessed, and our offer is standard marked. We achieved that, so that was really nice. That's a gold standard offer for our share raise. And the booster fund also had their own due diligence to go through our financial modelling, and we were successful with that equity match as well. So we feel that, and also through ethics. So I felt that was a really good process because it's our first share offer, but we had lots of different organisations pulling the financial model apart. And we're very fortunate also to have Peter and another financial director, Graham, to mitigate any of those risks. Peter,
if I can add, Katrina, yes, I mean,
yeah.
I think yes, probably explaining why we need 2 finance directors. I mean, Graham, the other finance director, has an actuary as a background, but he's very focused on risk and market sort of situations, and that's been really helpful. Whereas obviously my background is more on the accounting, financial accounting. Certainly the one thing I'd add to what Katrina said is that as part of the process, we certainly looked at sensitivities on the model. Here are our assumptions. Are we still able to actually meet our return target if there's variation in operational performance or other things happening? And we're reasonably confident, having looked at those, that actually the model is robust. The financial model that we've got and created, and the one we're using is robust and supports the offer.
Thank you. So there's a couple of Roger and Henry have asked a couple of questions about the offer. Could you confirm what happens at the end of the term? Obviously, with a bond offer, the term is very sort of specific, but how would you define the term of this share offer and what happens at the end of it? And then a follow-on from Henry is, was autumn 2027 the date that interest rates starts to accumulate, or the anticipated date of the first interest payment?
I can answer that. Answer the second one first and come back to that. The process that we'll have, and as a community benefit society, is that when we produce our results for the year, those are submitted to the AGM. All members get to look at those and vote on the results. The results for the financial year will determine that we can pay the 5.5%. So our March year end will be drawing up accounts, and they will be available for an AGM probably in the autumn. So that's when members will see that. The payment will be made on the basis of when that AGM happens. It will relate to the financial performance of the previous financial year. And in terms of, yes, the term, there's 2 things. The projects, I think Katrina may have mentioned, we have between 16 and 25 years as the life of the projects. We have set out to repay the initial investment over a 12-year period starting in year 3. So we would progressively return capital to investors over a 12-year period starting in 2029.
And sorry,
yeah.
I was just
No,
going to
carry
add.
on.
So for the end of the term, as far as the solar installations go, they are given to the holder of the lease. So we'll be leasing rooftops, and they will own the solar installation at the end of the term.
Thanks. So this is a question from Tom. I'm just reading it verbatim. I support solar, but with the decarbonation of the grid, the carbon benefit will reduce, potentially to near zero by 2030. Is the marketing of projects stating the carbon reduction valid? So how else can they be marketed?
Yeah, it is a good point, Tom. That grid is being decarbonised, but we feel that that the organisations that we're working with will benefit from reduced energy costs. The project that I feel is particularly, or it's a community. It's a great community energy project, is the delivery of rooftop solar to a community that wouldn't be able to have to necessarily benefit from reduced energy costs and decarbonising their homes. That is still key to allowing local communities benefit from renewable energy. I don't know if I've answered that very well, but it really is about the local benefits from renewables.
That sounds perfectly credible to me, and it is to be hoped that that broader target is met by 2030. We'll see. In the meanwhile, I've got to thank James, who has some clients in your area and who has sent his details in order for further discussion. So we'll share those with you, and thank you, James. I just want to move beyond these three projects. In your offer document, you aim to become a self-sustaining community energy organisation which will continue developing more projects across the South Downs and surrounding areas. So what would you like Energise South Downs to look like in 5 years' time? And then to what extent will you list a number of key partnerships, one of which clearly is the South Downs National Park Authority, but also Winchester City Council? What role will could those two organisations play in that sort of 5-year vision?
Yeah. And the other local authority we deal closely with is East Hants District Council. So last 3 years has really been about relationship building and those stakeholders and allowing people to understand the benefit, what community energy can bring. So more partnership and collaboration. I envision potentially that we would have a larger scale install, whether it be a wind turbine or more rooftop solar. Could Winchester City Council be an off-taker of that? Could we work in with that sort of collaboration to reduce the whole local authority and decarbonise and work that way? With the South Downs National Park, there's a really close collaboration with them. They call for sites for renewables, but it may be more difficult to reach out to the local communities, and communities don't really understand what that means. So supporting that work, be an advocate, influence local energy plans, the local plan, and really be a voice for renewables in a place where there are those challenges, but ultimately sort of upscale our work, sustain ourselves through future projects and larger scale projects.
Okay. Thank you. We've had a lot of question. Hang on. Decarbonisation of grid question. An additional benefit is that local generation and use avoids losses on the grid in otherwise supplying that power. Thank you. Martin for providing us with that comment. But we've had a lot of questions. Peter and Katrina, do you have anything else that you would like to say to potential investors?
Really, that we're a passionate team who have been sort of driving this forward over the last 3 years, and I just feel that we're just at the start of bringing some really good projects to fruition, and there'll always be impactful projects that benefit local communities, and so we're grateful for any support.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And I would just say, actually the success or the speed with which we've investments of people who've signed up and everything is fantastic. It does allow us, it takes away some of the concerns I have about it taking us a long time to raise money and before we could actually get going. And hopefully, if we carry on with this, we will get going in good time this year. And so actually then it's a great opportunity. Looking forward to meeting all the members, the AGM next year, with our first year results, and I think we're feeling all very positive as a board.
Okay. Well, thanks to both of you. So, I mentioned that the share offer is now open. It's been open for 10 days or so. Oh, hang on, there's one more question. Is there an element of battery in these projects, or is that getting a bit too complicated, from Graham?
It's another good question. We have looked at feasibility studies with batteries, and we will continue to do so. But at the moment, it doesn't fit with the financial modelling. At the moment, the kind of easiest way is to this solar and sell back. And as batteries get cheaper, then I feel that will come into the modelling.
And thanks also to James for providing us with a link, carbon intensity of electricity generation in the UK. It's a very interesting subject. So look, back to brass tacks. The share offer's open. It's open for another 77 days on the FX platform. But I have to sort of chime in with Peter and say this has been one of the most impressive starts that we've ever seen on our platform, but there's always room for more. We at FX will be sending updates on progress, so make sure you're signed up to get emails from us. They can see how the offer's going on the website fx.org.uk. Thanks very much to both of you, and we look forward to being in touch soon.